Today, we're going to break down a really powerful way to build software that honestly feels a little backwards at first. It's called the walking skeleton. And the whole idea is that to build something really big and successful, you actually have to start incredibly small.
So let's just get right to it. This is the big question, right? Anybody who's ever worked on a big, ambitious project knows this feeling. You have this amazing vision, but how do you get from A to B without the whole thing collapsing? How do you avoid spending a year of your life building something only to find out at the very end that the pieces just don't fit together?
All right, to make this all feel a bit more real, let's imagine a very common business problem. You've got a team that's supposed to be monitoring for risks in client transactions, but they're doing it all by hand, in spreadsheets. I mean, you can just feel the pain. It's super slow, you only ever catch a problem after it's already happened, and of course, people make mistakes. It's just not sustainable. They need a better way.
And that is where our solution comes in. Instead of trying to build the entire perfect finished system right out of the gate, there's a much smarter way to do it, and it's called the walking skeleton.
So what on earth is it? Well, the official definition is a minimal end-to-end implementation that performs a small but complete function. Now, the words you really want to hang on to there are minimal, end-to-end, and complete. Let's unpack what that actually means.
Okay, so think of it like this. It's the absolute thinnest, most bare-bones version of the final system you can imagine. But, and this is so important, it's not a prototype you're going to throw away. It is version 0.1 of the real system. It has all the major parts connected, the user interface, the database, the logic in the middle, all of it, but with just enough functionality to prove that it all works together.
And this is where you can really see the difference. You know, the old way was to build in layers. You'd have one team build the whole database, then another team builds the backend, then a third team builds the user interface. The giant risk? You don't find out if they all talk to each other correctly until the very end. The walking skeleton just flips that completely on its head. You build one tiny, thin slice through all the layers first. This way, you find the scary problems early, you deliver something that actually works in just a few weeks, and you get feedback from real people right away.
Now, theory is one thing, but let's see how this plays out in the real world. We're going to follow the story of that team building the AI risk detector we were talking about.
So their goal was super clear. They needed to build an AI system that could automatically look at client transactions and spot the weird stuff. You know, sudden spikes, big drops, anything that a human might miss. This was a perfect project for this kind of approach.
Okay, this slide right here, this is the secret sauce. The team was absolutely ruthless in deciding what they were going to build and what they were going to ignore for now. So getting data once a day, in scope. But trying to stream it in real time, out of scope. A really simple dashboard? Yep. But fancy advanced analytics? Nope, not yet. This intense focus is what makes the whole thing possible.
And because they kept that scope so incredibly tight, they were able to do something amazing. They built a fully functional end-to-end AI system in just 6 weeks. Let's see how they pulled it off. So this is the blueprint. Now, don't get too caught up in all the different boxes and arrows. The big idea here is just to see that everything is connected from the very beginning. The user dashboard talks to the AI model, which talks to the data. It's one complete working loop. Nothing was built off on an island by itself.
And the timeline just shows you how it all unfolded. You can see for the first couple of weeks, it was all about just making the data flow from point A to point B. Then, they started shaping that data for the AI. Then came the actual model training, then building a simple way for people to see the results, and finally, showing off the whole working system. Every single step builds right on top of the last one.
So if we boil it all down, the entire process was really just these 4 steps. 1, get the data. 2, clean it up so the AI can understand it. 3, train the AI to find the weird patterns. And 4, show those results to a human being with a simple dashboard and an alert. That's it. That's the whole end-to-end system.
So, the big question is, after those 6 weeks of intense, focused work, did it actually pay off? And what happens next? First, let's talk about a key number. The AI model they built was over 70% precise. Now, what that means is that when it flagged something as risky, more than 7 out of 10 times, it was right. It was a real issue that needed a human to look at. So the skeleton wasn't just connected, it was actually smart.
Now for the business side of things. Remember that team stuck in their spreadsheets? Well, before this project, they were spending about 10 hours every single week just manually sifting through data.
And after, that time dropped to less than 2 hours a week. That is a massive over 80% reduction in grunt work. It freed up the team to actually analyze the risks instead of just looking for them. This is real, tangible value, and they delivered it in just 6 weeks.
And this is the part that is so cool. The walking skeleton is not the finish line. It's the starting block. It's built specifically to have more muscle, more features added onto it over time.
You can see exactly how that plays out on the roadmap. Phase 0, that was our walking skeleton. It was just a proof of concept. But because it worked, they could confidently move to Phase 1 and start adding more data. Then Phase 2, where they start pulling in news from the outside world. And finally, Phase 3, where they make the whole thing rock solid for the entire company. That little 6-week project proved this whole ambitious plan was possible.
Okay, so let's zoom back out for a second. Why should you care about this? Why is this approach so powerful, not just for this one project, but for building almost any complex piece of software?
Well, it really comes down to this. First, you're delivering something of real value, and you're doing it fast. You're proving that your fundamental idea for how to build this thing actually works before you've sunk a ton of time and money into it. You get rid of the biggest risks, the integration problems, right at the beginning. And maybe the best part of all, you get a working system in front of real people which gives you amazing feedback and builds incredible momentum and trust with everyone involved.
If you boil all of this down to one single idea, what's the most important thing to remember about the walking skeleton method?
It's this quote right here. The source material just nails it. This approach is all about creating a low-risk, high-impact project. You're systematically cutting down your chances of a catastrophic failure while dramatically speeding up how quickly you can make a real impact. It is, without a doubt, one of the best ways to take a big, scary, complex idea and make it real. One small, complete, walking step at a time.